The sterile white of the hospital room blurred around me, mirroring the fog in my mind. The rhythmic beeping of the machines was a cruel counterpoint to the silence that had fallen between us. Not the silence of peace, but the heavy, suffocating silence of a promise shattered. Just hours ago, I had given birth. Not to one, not to two, but to 9 miracles, 9 tiny lives, each a testament to our unwavering hope, our desperate prayers, our years of longing. And yet, here he stood, David, the man who had sworn to love me forever, his face a mask of something I couldn't quite decipher. Fear, disgust, it was certainly not the overflowing joy I had imagined. He looked at me, then at the row of incubators holding our impossibly small children, and then he spoke, his voice barely a whisper, yet it echoed like a gunshot in the quiet room. I can't do this, Maria. This isn't what I signed up for. 9? It's too much. And just like that, the world tilted on its axis. The man who had once been my rock, my unwavering support through years of infertility and the terrifying journey of a non-uplet pregnancy, was crumbling before my eyes. He was looking at our miracle, and all he saw was a burden. I reached for his hand, my own still weak from the ordeal, but he pulled away. His eyes, once so full of love and shared dreams, were now distant, filled with a cold, calculating fear. We talked about this, Maria, he said, his voice gaining a brittle edge. The doctors, they gave us options. You chose this. You chose all of them. The accusation hung in the air, a venomous cloud. He was referring to the selective reduction, the clinical term, for a choice that had torn at my soul, a choice I had refused to make. How could I choose which of my children would live, and which would die? They were all ours, all equally precious, all equally deserving of life. And he, the man who had once championed every heartbeat, was now using my unwavering love for our children as a weapon against me. The weight of his words, combined with the exhaustion and the lingering pain of childbirth, threatened to crush me. I had risked everything, my body, my sanity, my very life, to bring our children into the world, and in a single devastating moment, he was walking away from all of us. It feels like a lifetime ago, but it was only 5 years. 5 years of whispered prayers, of countless doctor's appointments, of the agonizing cycle of hope and despair. David and I had always dreamed of a big family. Our house, a cozy 2-bedroom, felt too quiet, too empty. We'd watch our friends' children play, their laughter echoing in our ears, a painful reminder of our own unfulfilled longing. We tried everything, diets, supplements, alternative therapies. Nothing worked. The fertility specialist was our last hope, a beacon in the darkness. We poured our life savings into the treatments, each injection, each procedure, a desperate gamble on a future we yearned for. David was my constant. He'd hold me when the negative tests came, his voice a soothing balm, promising me that our time would come, that God had a special plan for us. He envisioned a house filled with the joyful chaos of children, teaching our son to play catch, walking our daughter down the aisle. His dreams became the very air I breathed. When the first ultrasound revealed not 1 but 2 heartbeats, we wept with pure, unadulterated joy. Twins! It was more than we had ever dared to hope for. David bought 2 tiny pairs of shoes, placing them reverently on the mantelpiece, a tangible symbol of our burgeoning family. But then came the next appointment, and the doctor's face, a mixture of awe and trepidation. There are more, she'd said, her voice barely above a whisper. I count 9. 9. The word had hung in the air, a surreal, impossible echo. Our elation morphed into stunned disbelief, then a terrifying realization of the risks. The doctors spoke of the astronomical odds, the dangers to my health, the slim chances of all of them surviving. They presented the option of selective reduction, a cold, clinical term for an unthinkable act. But David, my steadfast David, had been resolute. No, he declared, his hand firm in mine. They are all our children. Every single one is a gift. We will keep them all. He saw it as a divine blessing, a miraculous answer to our years of fervent prayers. He became consumed by the pregnancy, reading every book, meticulously tracking my diet, massaging my swollen feet. He painted the nursery himself, a soft, sunny yellow, and meticulously assembled 9 cribs, lining them up in 2 rooms, his face beaming with pride. He was building a nest, a sanctuary for the family he had always dreamed of. I watched him, my heart swelling with love, never once imagining that the man who had so desperately prayed for this miracle would be the first to abandon it. The delivery was a blur of controlled chaos, a symphony of medical professionals working in unison. Over 30 doctors and nurses, a small army dedicated to bringing our nonuplets safely into the world. One by one, they arrived, impossibly small, fragile, yet perfect in every way. Their tiny cries, though faint, filled the operating room with a sound more beautiful than any music. They were immediately whisked away to the NICU, a flurry of activity surrounding their delicate forms. I was exhausted, my body aching, but a profound sense of accomplishment and overwhelming love washed over me. I was a mother of 9. When they finally wheeled me in to see them, David was already there, standing by the incubators, but the joy I expected to see on his face was absent. Instead, there was a flicker of something else, fear, raw and unmasked. A panic that seemed to deepen with every tiny breath our children took. NTHE first few days were a relentless cycle of beeping machines, hushed conversations with doctors, and the constant gnawing anxiety that clung to me like a second skin. The sheer magnitude of our situation began to sink in, and it was overwhelming. The medical bills, already astronomical, piled up like a cruel monument to our miracle. The media, ever hungry for a sensational story, had descended upon the hospital, turning our private joy and terror into a public spectacle. David, once my unwavering support, grew distant. He spent hours on his phone, his brow furrowed with worry, his conversations clipped and tense. "The house is too small," he'd mutter, pacing the room. "How will we afford formula? Diapers for 9? What about college?" The practicalities, once dismissed as minor details, now loomed like insurmountable mountains in his mind. The man who had been my rock began to crumble. He visited the NICU less and less, offering flimsy excuses. Work was busy, he was tired, he needed to sort out our finances. When he did come, he was withdrawn, a ghost, haunting the edges of our new reality. I tried to reach him, to reassure him. "We'll figure it out, David," I'd plead, my own voice trembling with exhaustion and fear. "We'll do it together, just like we always planned." But he would only shake his head, a look of utter despair in his eyes. "You don't get it, Maria. This is not a plan, it's a catastrophe." The word struck me like a physical blow. Catastrophe. He was looking at our children, our precious miracles, and seeing a disaster. The cracks in our foundation were widening into chasms, and I was terrified that we were about to fall apart, taking our fragile new family with us. The day he left is etched into my memory with agonizing clarity. The babies were 3 weeks old, still in the NICU, but making slow, steady progress. They were fighters, every single one of them. I had just come home for a few precious hours, desperate for a shower and a meal that didn't come from a vending machine. The house, usually filled with the phantom echoes of a life we were building, was eerily quiet. I walked into the bedroom and found David packing a suitcase. Not a hospital bag for me, not a bag for the baby's homecoming, but a suitcase for himself. My heart seized in my chest. "What are you doing?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper, a desperate plea for this to be a nightmare. NHE wouldn't look at me. He continued folding his shirts with a cold, mechanical precision, his movements devoid of emotion. "I'm leaving, Maria." He said it so calmly, so matter-of-factly, as if he were announcing a trip to the grocery store. I couldn't process it. I thought it was a cruel, stress-induced joke, a twisted prank, but then I saw his eyes, and they were empty. The love, the warmth, the man I had married, it was all gone, replaced by a chilling void. "You can't," I pleaded, grabbing his arm, my fingers digging into his flesh. "David, you can't leave us. The babies need you. I need you." He finally turned to me, and his face was a mask of pure resentment, contorted by a bitterness that shocked me to my core. "No, you don't get to say that," he spat, his voice laced with venom. "This was your choice. You're the one who refused to reduce. You wanted this circus, you can have it." The cruelty of his words stole the air from my lungs. He was twisting my unwavering love for our children into a weapon, rewriting our shared history, erasing his own fervent prayers for a family. He was making this my fault, absolving himself of any responsibility. He zipped up his suitcase with a harsh final sound and walked towards the door. I was sobbing now, tears streaming down my face, begging him to stay, to think about our children, to remember the promises he had made. He paused at the threshold, his back to me, a silhouette against the fading light. "I'll have my lawyer send the papers," he said, his voice devoid of any emotion. And then he walked out, closing the door softly behind him. The click of the latch was the sound of our life together ending. I collapsed onto the floor, the silence of the house pressing in on me, a crushing weight of grief and utter, terrifying loneliness. He hadn't just left me, he had abandoned 9 innocent babies, his own flesh and blood, because he was a coward, incapable of facing the beautiful, overwhelming reality of our miracle. For a week, I existed in a haze, a painful, disoriented autopilot. I shuffled between the hospital and the desolate house, my mind a fog of pain and disbelief. I felt like I was drowning, and the man who was supposed to be my life raft had not only pushed me under, but had then sailed away. I told no one about David's departure. The shame was a heavy cloak, suffocating me. Our families believed he was working extra hours, preparing for the baby's homecoming, a narrative I desperately clung to. But the secret was a festering wound, eating away at my soul, isolating me further in my grief. The nurses in the NICU, however, were perceptive. They noticed the subtle shifts in my demeanor, the haunted look in my eyes. One afternoon, a kind older woman named Carol, her eyes filled with gentle concern, pulled me aside. "Honey," she said softly, her voice a balm to my raw nerves, "you look like you're carrying the weight of the world. Where's your husband?" And then, the dam broke. The whole ugly, heartbreaking story poured out of me. I cried in her arms, letting go of the shame, the humiliation, the crushing weight of David's betrayal. I expected pity, perhaps even judgment, but what I received was an overwhelming wave of compassion and understanding. And then, something truly incredible happened. Carol, without a moment's hesitation or asking for my permission, started a GoFundMe page. She didn't sensationalize our story. She told the raw, honest truth. A mother left to raise 9 miracle babies on her own. She shared it with the hospital staff, and from there, it spread like wildfire, carried on the winds of human empathy. The story went viral. Donations began pouring in from every corner of the globe. A few dollars here, 100 there, each contribution a ripple in an ocean of generosity. But it wasn't just money, it was an outpouring of love and support that left me breathless, humbled and utterly overwhelmed. A local baby supply store donated a year's worth of diapers and formula, a staggering gift that brought tears to my eyes. A construction company, moved by our plight, offered to renovate our small house, adding 2 new bedrooms and a much-needed playroom, all free of charge. Volunteers, strangers who had heard our story, organized a meticulous schedule to help me with feedings, diaper changes and round-the-clock care once the babies came home. People sent letters, cards and gifts, not just for the babies but for me, messages of encouragement telling me I was strong, that I was a hero, that I could do this. Strangers from across the globe were stepping in, filling the gaping void that my own husband had so callously left. Their kindness was a lifeline, pulling me from the depths of despair. It didn't erase the pain of David's betrayal, but it showed me that I wasn't alone. It gave me the strength to stand up, to dry my tears, and to fight for my children, to build a new life for us. The world had shown me more love and unwavering support in a single week than my husband had in months, or even years. Bringing the babies home was the most chaotic, beautiful, and terrifying day of my life. It required a meticulously planned operation, a caravan of cars, each meticulously fitted with multiple car seats, and a dedicated team of my new volunteer friends, who had become an extension of my family, to manage the logistics. Our house, once a silent, sad testament to a broken dream, was now transformed. It was filled to the brim with 9 cribs, 9 high chairs, and an overwhelming ocean of baby supplies, diapers, formula, clothes, toys, all generously donated by strangers who had become our angels. And it was filled with people. My parents, my sister, and a rotating crew of these incredible volunteers, their laughter and chatter filling the once empty rooms. The first night was pure madness, a symphony of crying, feeding, burping, and changing. I barely slept a wink, moving from one crib to the next, my body aching with exhaustion, but my heart overflowing with a fierce, protective love. It was a beautiful, overwhelming chaos, and it was ours. As the weeks bled into months, we slowly, painstakingly, found our rhythm. It was a messy, imperfect, sleep-deprived rhythm, but it was uniquely ours. I learned to distinguish each child's cry. Noah's demanding wail when he was hungry, Maya's soft whimpering cry when she needed a cuddle, Leo's contented gurgle after a feeding. I mastered the art of feeding 2 babies at once, changing a diaper in record speed, and functioning on 3 hours of broken sleep. My life became a relentless, all-consuming cycle of caring for them. But in the midst of the beautiful chaos, there were moments of pure, unadulterated joy that pierced through the exhaustion. The first time Leo smiled at me, a wide, gummy grin that melted my heart. The way Luna would wrap her tiny hand around my finger and hold on tight, a fragile but powerful connection. The sound of 9 babies cooing and gurgling in unison in the morning, a chorus of pure innocence. These were the moments that fueled me, that reminded me of the profound blessing I had received. And I rarely thought of David. The pain of his memory had receded, becoming a dull ache, overshadowed by the immediate, all-consuming needs of our children. He made no attempt to contact us, no inquiries about his children. He paid the court-ordered child support, a minuscule amount that barely covered a fraction of the cost of raising 9 children, but he never asked to see them. He had successfully erased himself from our lives, a ghost of a past I was actively rebuilding. One quiet evening, after the babies were finally asleep, I was scrolling through social media when I saw a picture of him. It was on a friend's page. He was on a beach somewhere, tanned and smiling, a drink in his hand. He looked happy, carefree. For a fleeting moment, the old rage flared, a bitter ember rekindled. But then I looked around my living room, at the 9 peaceful, sleeping faces in their cribs, and a wave of profound pity washed over me. He was chasing a shallow, fleeting happiness, while I was living in a world of profound, unconditional love, a love he had forfeited. He hadn't just lost a family, he had lost his soul, and I, in turn, had found mine. Today is their first birthday. The house, once quiet and empty, is now bursting with life, filled with balloons, streamers, and the joyous chaos of 9 one-year-olds toddling and crawling around a mountain of brightly wrapped presents. My family is here, the incredible volunteers who have become my closest friends are here, and even some of the NICU nurses, including the compassionate Carol, have come to celebrate this monumental milestone. We have 9 small cakes, each with a single flickering candle, a symbol of each precious life. As we sing Happy Birthday, my voice thick with emotion, I look at my children. Noah, the adventurous one, is already trying to climb out of his high chair, his eyes sparkling with mischief. Luna, my sweet shy girl, is clapping her tiny hands with delight, her laughter a melody. Each one has a distinct, vibrant personality, a unique spark that brightens my world. They are not a circus, not a burden, not a catastrophe. They are 9 individual, incredible human beings. They are my world, my purpose, my greatest triumph. A few weeks ago, a letter arrived. It was from David's mother. Her handwriting was shaky, her words filled with a quiet despair. She wrote that David was miserable. His new carefree life, the one he had chosen over us, had turned out to be empty and lonely. He had lost his job, his fair-weather friends had drifted away, and he spent his days consumed by a gnawing regret. She said he wanted to see the children. He wanted to be a father now. I read the letter, my heart strangely calm. There was no anger, no satisfaction, just a quiet, profound finality. I folded the letter carefully and placed it in a drawer, a closed chapter in a book I was no longer reading. That door is closed. He doesn't get to walk back in a year later and play dad, after we've already survived the storm, after I built this beautiful, chaotic life without him. Justice, I've learned, isn't always loud and dramatic. Sometimes, it's the quiet, inescapable consequence of your own choices. His justice is the profound loneliness he chose. My victory is the overwhelming, unconditional love that surrounds me, the vibrant, joyous life I built from the rubble of a broken heart. And as I watch my 9 babies smash their fists into their birthday cakes, their faces smeared with frosting, their laughter echoing through the house, I know, with a certainty that settles deep in my soul, that we are more than okay. We are thriving. I have built a life for us, a beautiful, chaotic, loving life, on the foundation of my own strength, and the kindness of strangers who became family. I carried 9 babies for him, and he walked out on all of us. But his departure was not the end of my story.